Every club. Every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Welcome to the Daily Newcastle podcast. I feel like I've not hosted one of these in about 4 weeks, when realistically it's probably about 2 weeks. But here I am. It's your host, Nicola. I am back. I've got my camera on. My camera's fixed. No technical issues today, hopefully. Touch wood. I am joined... Go on, Iain.
Yeah, so you've dressed up for it as well, now that you're actually being seen by the world.
Absolutely, me and my Deirdre glasses. You've just heard one of my guests. I am joined by the Don, which is Iain. How are you?
I'm okay. I put my lovely shirt on because it's a Sunday lunchtime, you see. I was going to go out for lunch and I thought, no, I'll save it for the pod. What time is this to be recording? I'm usually in bed at this time on a Sunday.
I know, yeah. For everyone that's listening, which will be obviously Monday morning, it's we're recording quite early today, 12:30 on a Sunday. Get out of the way so we can enjoy our Sunday afternoons. And my second guest is my girl. It's Jo. How are you? Tender? You feeling okay?
I'm just a little bit. It's all right. I looked a bit like what Iain's shirt. Look, that's the cat with the cocktail. That was me yesterday. Until about 6 p.m, me and my friend could barely walk. It was a wonderful day.
Jo really lives her best life at the weekend. She loves a bottomless brunch, don't you?
Love it.
So, guys, it's a big week. By the time everyone's listening to this, it's probably Monday, hopefully.
Match day.
And it's match day, yep. And so we've got West Ham Monday tonight, whenever you guys are listening to this. And then, obviously, we've got a big one on Sunday. So, a week today, we are going to be a bag of nerves. So
Yeah.
I thought we can break this pod up into a couple of sections. I thought part one, we will just go with how we are generally feeling going into our Premier League game onto the cup final. Obviously, we're going to do a separate review as a team, aren't we? But preview, sorry, for the cup final. But just want to get everyone how we're feeling. And then part two, we're going to cover off a little bit more in depth of the team because it's been a big week for news for Newcastle. But we'll start part two of that. So, Iain, I'm coming to you first. As a Newcastle fan, right this current second, how are we feeling?
Well, I am a happy clapper, as you know. So I am still excited for the rest of the season. I think we're in a really strong position. We did that pod last week where we examined that we need 7 wins out of this last 11 games, and we all picked that we were going to get at least 8. So that would put us in the Champions League. I know we've got a big match next week, and there are 1 or 2 bits of news that have emerged that perhaps weaken our chances against Liverpool. But if you remember last year, it was Liverpool boys who turned up, say, against a very strong Chelsea side, and they won. So, one-off match, cup final, anything could happen. So I'm excited for seeing us in a cup final because I'm really old and I haven't seen it happen very often. But I think this match against West Ham is key. If we can win it, that will give us a fantastic platform for the last 10 games of the season when we come back from the international break, and we'll know that we've got to win 6 or 7 of those, and they're very, very winnable games.
Lovely. I'm glad you're the positive one. Yeah. Jo, how are you feeling?
I don't know whether I'm still drunk, but I'm with Iain, I've decided.
We're all happy.
We're fine. No, I mean, the last time us 3 talked, we talked about a lot of wins coming up, and we all predicted that we'd beat West Ham, so I'm going to stick with it. It is obviously a game that we are expected to win, so let's do it, I appreciate they won their last game, but their last game was against Leicester, so, nothing against Leicester, but they're not exactly in fine form this season, so I wouldn't exactly say West Ham are in any kind of form either. So I think we should be it should be a match. If we turn up, we can take that game. We've done it in the past, we can do it again. I do believe in the lads. And after I had a bit of a meltdown about subjects that we'll cover later off in the pod, when they initially happened, I am feeling a bit better about the final as well. And you just need the dust to settle in your head a bit about stuff like that. So I'm not feeling as immediately negative as I did when said incidents happened. But like I say, I'll not kind of spoiler alert or anything. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I am with you on that one. It took me, and this is no genuine joke, I could not talk to anyone that was asking me how I was feeling in work. about Newcastle because I was in such a bad mood. I was in the worst mood. It's probably taken me about 7 working days to get over it after what happened last weekend. And I say I'm over it. I'm just less angry than what I was last week. We're not going to cover off Mr. AG10 in the second part,
No.
so we can probably cover him off now in the first part. And just in general, how do we think it went down after that game when he walked into that dressing room? Because obviously this week we've been seeing, Friday we've seen Eddie in his pre-match sort of press conference, and he spoke well of Anthony Gordon, but in my eyes I could see how seething he was deep down. I know that's just me looking too much into it, but how do we think that's gone down? And personally, there's been nothing from Anthony Gordon on social media. I did say I didn't want to see it, but there has been absolutely nothing from him. So how do we think he's feeling? Do we think he's a little bit disappointed in himself, because he should be?
I hope so. I hope he's really mad at himself. I'm still angry at Gordon, I'm not going to lie. That bit hasn't settled, by the way, fully. No, I'm still really angry about it. I was talking to my mate yesterday about it when I was having a rant over too many drinks, but she's a Mackham though, so she was just like nodding along as he was talking, and I'm proper raging about like...
Choose your mates better, Joe.
I know,
I
man.
think
Someone's
this
got to be
might
friends
be
with him, right?
this might be a minority view. When I've watched it back a few times now, I think he's an idiot for lifting his hands up and the game stopped. There's no need for it. That's the silly bit. But he's really unfortunate in that the lad sort of slipped and dropped down a foot, so that instead of him just pushing him in the back, which is what he was going for, he ends up sort of pushing him in the head and the face and the neck. So if Van Heck had stayed on his feet, he might have got booked for pushing him, but I don't think he'd have got a red card for it. The fact that his hands go into his face and it looks like a forearm jab that he's doing, that's why he got the red card, and he'd just be feeling really, really stupid. I mean, genuinely, earlier this month, he's been so excited about getting into the final. He didn't play in the last one. I don't think that he'll be anything other than totally gutted for doing it, and knowing it's entirely down to himself, he'll be blaming himself. So out of character for the rest of the sort of up-and-coming professional young man that he was portraying himself as, and all of that preparation work that he does, and the belief that he has, to throw it all out of the window if you're going to lift your hands and start pushing people in the face, that you're not going to stay on the pitch.
Yeah, I think the worst part for me was the whistle had already been blown and he still reacted that way.
Pointless, completely
it was
pointless.
just, and I know we've all been in the heat of the moment, in situations in our life when we say things and we do things that are out of character. But I think the worst part for me was when I watched it back a few times, I thought, oh, Jesus, the whistle's already been blown. And he's reacted like that. Very, very, very silly mistake, which I am sure he is going to be kicking himself over for the rest of the season, to be honest. It's very, very silly. And what does he miss now? So he misses this game, West Ham game. He obviously misses the dreaded final, and then he misses one after that, does he? Is it 3?
We got off that because it's a break after that, isn't it? And we're back at home again.
Brentford at home, I think, is the next game.
Is that the Brentford at home game? Yeah. All right, cool.
So yeah,
I bet Harvey Barnes was secretly quite pleased that it happened, because he's got a fairly good chance of starting the final, whereas it would have been struggling to get on unless it went into extra time.
Yeah, surely he's definitely starting the final, I would imagine. But yeah,
I wouldn't do that. I know we'll talk about it next week. I wouldn't start Harvey Barnes. I haven't seen enough from him. What I would do would be to start Willock on the right. Willock and Joe Linton on those two left-hand picks, because Willock was great. He was very good when he came on against Brighton as well. Super against Birmingham. So they're the cup matches. Willock needs to kick up the arse because it's a cup game. I'll get him on. But I know we'll talk about that next week and maybe later in the squad for the West Ham game, because Eddie said he's going to pick his best team. Whoever's fit will play. He's not protecting anybody for the cup final, and I think that's the right way of going about it, because if we are unemotionally totally honest about it, qualifying for next year's Champions League has far more benefit in the long term for Newcastle than winning the Carabao Cup.
Yes. I imagine some of the lads after this Anthony Gordon incident have taken it upon themselves to prove themselves who is worthy of taking his place, I suppose.
Yeah.
So we shall see. I think we'll leave part 1 there because I could still go on about Anthony Gordon for the next 20 minutes of how angry I am. So we'll do the first ad, which is from our new sponsor, Bioniq.
Your body is unique, and Global Sports Podcast Network has partnered with Bioniq, the world's most personalised supplements. Bioniq provide 100% tailor-made supplements designed to deliver precisely what your body needs at exactly the right levels to optimise your health. No guessing. So click the link in the show notes. Use the code GSPN2025 for 40% off your first month's subscription. Bioniq. Don't settle for off-the-shelf solutions made for just anybody. Get what's right for you right now.
And that's that. The lovely Ken's voice. I'm glad
Did
it
you
didn't
say
do.
yeah,
Yeah,
right
I'm
now.
glad it didn't do what it done last week and just kept on playing.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to part 2, guys. It has been a week of sulking, and it's not been the greatest week for the Newcastle camp, let's be honest. I feel like every time I've opened my phone, it has just been an injury update, and it's just been nothing positive. So my plan, we're going to spend the next 10 or so minutes sulking. We're going to spend the next 10 minutes sulking, and then it is positivity from then on onwards, okay? We're going to spend the next 10 minutes talking about the injury crisis that we've hit, and then it is positivity from 20 minutes onwards after this. So, guys, we have had Mr. Lewis Hall out for the rest of the season. Sven Botman has been confirmed for surgery.
Another Weetabix.
Right, leave him
Sorry.
alone.
Sorry, girl. He is, though, isn't he?
He is, yeah. And then obviously we've covered him already, but we've got no AG10, so we can forget about him for a minute. Guys,
Isak's okay though, right? There's the positive spin on it.
well,
I'm going to be really positive about it. I am going to be really positive about it.
Go on then, Iain. Kick us off.
Well, I can't be positive about the fact that Lewis Hall is out for the rest of the season because, to me,
Gutted for him.
alongside Dan Burn, they've been the two most consistent players in a season of more inconsistency than I expected. So that's not good. That's not good. But it is just Lewis Hall who's the left back. That's it. That's who's missing. I know Sven Botman is missing and he's out for a while. He's been out for 10, 12 months apart from 2 or 3 games anyway.
Yeah.
So, we've got by without Sven for a long time. Anthony Gordon, stupid red card. I'm sure he would have been first name on the team sheet or maybe second if he's that fit. If Eddie was picking his team. But if we're totally honest, he's gone up it in recent weeks. I think he's been brilliant at all. I think he's been inconsistent in and out, fading from games. Maybe it's time, and we talked about this in the last few weeks, that the first choice team, the first teamers that don't have any competition for their place, maybe need a kick up the backside now and again. And Gordon having to sit this one out. Let's see what Barnes can do. Let's see what Willett can do.
Yeah.
Let's get some competition for him. Make Gordon work really, really hard to get his place back. I think if basically we're going to tackle West Ham without Gordon playing, without Lewis Hall playing from our first choice 11, we should still have too much for them. And we should still have too much for a lot of the teams in the Premier League. Desperately need to win against West Ham to get a little bit of positivity back. To go into the final with Liverpool. One thing that there had been talking about, which I can see, is that when everything is piling up against you, you do kind of develop that sort of siege mentality when the rest of the world is against us. I think we saw a lot of that in the season where we finished 4th, and we certainly didn't have an Anthony Gordon or an Eyres playing up front for us in that season, and we still qualified for the Champions League. So, yeah, it's a shame for Lewis Hall. He's been super. Anthony Gordon is a match winner, and we're missing those two. Ben Botman is head and shoulders above our best defender. We've missed him all season. So, it's not good news, but I don't think it's the end of the world at all. Certainly not doom and gloom that people talking about. It's not even worth going down to Wembley if they've got tickets for the final. Come on, get a grip.
dramatic.
That's ridiculous. Don't go
That
too
is
far. I'll
ridiculous.
take those
I'll take
tickets
the
in.
ticket. Yeah.
I was going to say, should anyone selling them? Don't be stupid. But yeah.
Joe, do you
Go
agree?
on.
How are you feeling?
Yeah, I mean, great point on Gordon, I'll be honest. As angry as I am with him, he hasn't been great recently, as he saw. And again, we have talked about multiple times about other people stepping in, so it is the chance. So I really, really do want to see said people that you've just mentioned there really step up and show us why they shouldn't, for example, just bring Gordon maybe back in straight after his ban, you know what I mean? Imagine if
Yeah.
they play a blind and it keeps Gordon out, then tough. And that would, I like it like that. I like strong competition, which we haven't had in the squad. The main on the injuries, I've got to be honest, a bit like what Iain said, we haven't even had Botman most of the season anyway. So he isn't the miss that like Hall is. Hall, to me, I was so gutted, man. Like pretty much all of us were, let's get real. He's him and Byrne, like you've just said, have been pivotal to us. And I think it's just the sadness of he's not going to get to play in the final, which would have been lovely for him. So we are good for him as well as us, you know what I mean? But he had Salah in his pocket as well, so it's a bit of just a kick in the teeth for us that we just felt so safe in the knowledge that, right, we're going to go down to Wembley and he's just going to have Salah in his pocket again. I know it's not a given, right? But we felt quite safe in that knowledge that we've seen him do it
Kept
and we
him
know he can
quiet
do
though.
it. So yeah, he did. Oh, very much so. So I'm just gutted that he's not going to get his chance. He's been amazing for us. And I read something that basically it is something apparently he could have kept playing with, but they decided for the sake of his career that he wouldn't, and he would go down to get an operation and be out. So it is the sensible thing to do, absolutely. But it just shows that some players would play through that and not try and save their. I mean, he is so young; they're doing the right thing, aren't they? They don't want to cause any future issues and let him be, unfortunately, a bit Weetabix like. And I'll be honest on the Botman thing. I'll just touch on it briefly. I don't hate the guy. I'm not a huge fan of him. I never have been. I think me and Kev were saying that we just don't think he's the Rolls Royce that everyone claims him to be. I think he's a great defender. There's no denying it. But we so have not seen enough of him, in my opinion, to give him this Rolls Royce tag. I want him to be. I so want him to be this Rolls Royce. But now I fear not only is he not getting the opportunity to show us this full Rolls Royce status, but he's just, man, he's either got no luck or he's a big guy that's very delicate. I don't know what the heck's going on, but like,
I have to
look at him, you'd
disagree.
never believe, like, I don't know.
Yeah,
But yeah.
I have to disagree, but I don't know if it's just because I'm biased, because I do really love him. But on the Sven Botman thing, and I'm going to just put it out there and people will disagree. And this is why it's great to have this platform to have people's opinions, obviously. So please, if anyone agrees or disagrees or has their own opinion, shove it in the comments because I'm really interested to see on how people feel about this. But I will wholeheartedly say that the club need to take a bit of responsibility with accountability, with Sven Botman, because and me and Michael put our opinion in when we were talking about this in the group chat. I think people forget of how how key Sven Botman was to our squad before he went off of his ACL injury, and it came out that the club allowed him to play on an injury, which ended up being a whole lot worse for Sven in the end, because then he's had the last 9 months out, and then again there is a reason why he walked straight back in to the first team. There is a reason for that. And I think people forget how key he is to us. Now, what I will say is it's nice to see that with the Lewis Hall situation, that they won't allow him to play on it to cause future
lesson
issues.
learned, isn't
Because
it?
now what we are
Yeah.
seeing is Sven Botman has played on a bad knee. They allowed him to play. He's then gone for ACL surgery. He's then come back. Now his other knee has gone, because obviously that one has compensated for the one for when he played on the bad one. I know I'm speaking a lot of word vomit here.
Yeah.
And now he's out for the next, I think it's been confirmed, next 8 weeks or so, which pretty much to me writes him off of the season.
There's
to be
only a
honest.
few games left after that, isn't there?
Yeah, 10 or 11. I don't think we're going to see him for the rest of the season either. And I'm going to be honest, for both Lewis and Sven, I feel really gutted for them because I feel like they really deserved to play in the final, particularly Lewis Hall. You are right, we haven't seen enough of Sven this season, but from what I have seen of him, I think he's come back and proved himself. But that's my opinion because I personally think he's so key to the first team squad. That's not me saying that I don't like Dan Burn and Fabian Schär at the back. I will personally say that I think Schär hasn't been great.
No, not at all.
So I'm a little bit annoyed. Well, not annoyed. I think I'm a little bit scared to see them two at the back when I feel like Sven would ease that pressure off a little bit.
Shea needs to be much more on it than he has been, hasn't he? And that's where we can be honest about players. We love Shea, but the last couple of months, man, he just hasn't been right, has he?
He's been off of it. And yeah, that's where I'm at with that. And again, for Lewis Hall, I feel gutted because I feel like, Thomas Tuchel's first England squad call-up is coming this week, and Paul Lewis is probably going to miss out on that when he did definitely deserve his place.
He would have been in.
He would have 100% been in. And I do think he's going to be, England's first choice for a left back in the coming years. So I feel gutted for him. I feel really sad for him, but it's nice to see the club are taking a bit of accountability and not allowing him to play, because obviously lesson learned from Botman, I suppose. So yeah, it's a bittersweet feeling, I think.
I was going to make that point, that look at what Botman's done playing through an injury and where he is. So it's definitely the right thing to do. One thing which not mentioned with Lewis Hall isn't playing. I was quite impressed with how Livramento played at left back, particularly up against a nippy little winger like Minter against Brighton.
Yeah.
So I'm sure he'll be challenged if it's Bowen that he's up against West Ham tomorrow. But one of the good things, if it's him who's there in the final against Salah, is that he's right-footed. And Salah, I think, is at his most dangerous when he's cutting in.
Yeah.
Which means if you're a right-footed player, that should be an easier tackle, block, etc. to make than if you're a left-footed player. So, I don't think all is lost. As I said, the doom and gloom that has been out by not just by,
I agree.
by on social media, but by some of the journalists that are tearing their hair out, wondering why we're bothering to book a bus to get down there. It's just way over the top. I'm quite hopeful. It's a one-off game. Game.
Yeah.
Agreed. Right, let's leave part 2 there. Joe, I think you're doing the Zencastr advert, aren't you?
I am, chick, yeah. Cool.
Let's go with that, and then
we'll sorry. Just started reading it.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Thanks. Here at the Global Sports Podcast Network, we've spent a lot of time selecting our delivery platform. Zencastr came out the clear winner with 4K video recording from your phone and AI editing that automatically removes all those ums and ahs. It's super easy to start a podcast that starts great and it's delivered efficiently. If you're ready to tell your story, check out the link in the show description to learn more about Zencastr.
Lovely. Thank you very much. You're welcome. Right, part 3 is positive now, guys. We're not allowed to be negative. It's positivity only. Even though we weren't actually that negative in the last part, that was quite good.
We're fine.
I suppose we better cover off our Monday night game. We are the Monday night football this week. We are taking a trip to West Ham. They have already beat us 2-0 this season, so let's hope we go there for a win. So I thought, how are we feeling going to face West Ham? Obviously, I think all 3 of us said that this is a game that we should win and are expected to win, and we need to really win. So how are we feeling? Do we think, well, obviously there's going to be a few changes, obviously, to the squad. How do we think he's gonna go with the lineup? Do we think it will be the same of what we've seen against, is it Brighton last weekend? Joe, you kick us off.
I think he'll do his normal 4-3-3. I don't want him to for the final. I'd love him to play this normal 4-3-3 in this game and then go to like 5 at the back, 3-2 wing back sort of thing. Just because it worked so well against Arsenal, I think it could, because it just can work so well against Liverpool as well, but that's a different discussion. West Ham, I think he'll stick with his normal setup with the force changes that he's going to have, obviously, as well. So, Trips at right, Tino at left. And then, like Ian said, it could be a mix. We could be starting Barnes on the left, or we're going to be trying the whole Joe Linton, Joe Willock kind of balance over there as well. So
they do.
I don't know how he's going to play it. They do. That's what I mean. And I'd happily have them 2 together, to be fair. So I don't know what I would like to see more, I'll be honest. Because in a way, I do want to see if, for example, they put Barnes in and he stepped up. That would be a nice thing to see. Because again, Barnes has been hit and miss when he's played. Granted, he hasn't exactly had a lot of starting games this season, but he's been very hit and miss. He hasn't proven himself how I want him to prove himself in certain other games, let's say. So, in a way, I wouldn't mind him being played against West Ham just to see if, almost a one last chance before the final, if you don't step up against West Ham, you're definitely not playing type of situation in Wembley. So, I'm sitting here full of threats, obviously, like I've got any control. But that's how I would tell them. I'd be standing in the dressing room right now. I'd be like, look, mate, you can play a day. But if you don't put in, like, bugger off, don't even bother come down to Wembley. Extreme. But that's what I'm kind of expecting. That's what I would go with, is more my kind of point on that one.
Okay. Iain, do you agree?
Yeah.
Or
I agree.
what would you do?
I think if he doesn't start Barnes down the left, then where's Barnes fitting into this team? But Barnes is on the transfer list for the summer if he doesn't start him. And I do hope he does start him, and I hope that he plays very well to try and win back a first-team squad place, as it were. Because if he decides that Willock and Joe Linton on the left is the way to go, then I don't see Barnes as a substitute for Murphy on the wrong side, which can't be right when he's a 40 million player.
Yeah.
One thing that he might try and accommodate is Callum Wilson's fantastic 15 goals in 12 games against West Ham, or it might be 12 in 15. It's a brilliant record he's got against West Ham. They might start Callum Wilson at centre forward and Alexander-Eysak playing down the left, because we can see how devastating he has been when he's done that. And we did play a couple of away games season before last when they were set up like that. I mean, they worked really well in tandem together. I remember a fabulous goal against Brentford that they combined to score. One thing we've not mentioned, which will be up for grabs, and my vote goes to the 36-year-old Martin Dubravka, Newcastle's number one goalkeeper now. He could start Pope, and it'll still be Pope as the best stopper in the Premier League, which is what Eddie quoted a fortnight ago. Dubravka made some very good saves against Brighton to show that he can do it, and his distribution is so much better that I think if it was me, I'd start Dubravka.
There's no argument for me here. It has to be Dubravka.
100%. Yeah. We've had this conversation, haven't we?
Yeah. There's absolutely no argument for me who should be in goal, and it has to be Martin Dubravka for me. The only thing I'm going to say is, right, on the back of your point, Iain, am I the only one in the whole Newcastle fan base that cannot see him starting Callum and Alexander-Eysak at the same time?
I don't think you will. He can.
I also don't
think it's worked.
I know it's worked.
Yeah, I don't think you will.
This is not what I needed to say, and I'm going to have to say it. But the same feeling that everyone has about Callum Wilson every time he steps on the pitch, I have that same feeling about Alexander-Eysak. There's an underlying issue that I love Alexander-Eysak, don't get me wrong, but I feel like every time he steps on the pitch, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so scared in case you get injured. Because he's like, there's always little niggles with Alexander-Eysak, do you know what I mean?
I was wanting him protected, I'll be honest.
This year he had a broken toe, which he played through either side of. He only missed 2 games or something, 3 games at the start of the season. I know they missed him because he had a tight groin, but that was precautionary, and he came back and played against Brighton to come off after an hour because he felt some stiffness. That's how they're managing it. But he's bright and breezy in training, ready to go again. You know, I don't think
that's what I mean.
It's made of glass. I don't.
No, I just panic because I'm just like, we need to protect him.
I think it might start. And the reason why he won't do is that there's not a third one, because he won't play Osula. I mean, I think Osula should come on after an hour for Murphy every single game, having seen what he did when he played right wing against Birmingham. We need some unpredictability like that. And Murphy seems to go for an hour and then fade. He does. Apart from the games recently where he hasn't appeared at all. It's only because his kit's been put in to get washed at the end of the match that you know that he was playing. So yeah, let's mix it up a little bit. Let's try some of these things. Oslo was not ready, but he's had a few games now, and I think he looks powerful, fast, skillful player. And he's 21 now, is he?
I think so.
I want to see more of him. I do, yeah.
He is unpredictable to the point where I think he's that unpredictable. Even he doesn't know what he's going to do.
I know, but then you end up with him cutting in against Bromley.
That's what I mean.
And scoring probably the best goal of the season.
I'm for it. Put him on. After 60, I agree. I'm sorry, Joe. I know you're not going to like this.
Give him a chance.
Murphy has, not been up there over the last couple of games, and probably needs a rest. He probably just needs a rest, which is totally fine. So yeah, bring him on. Put some unpredictability in the squad. Interesting. And that wasn't me saying, by the way, that I think Alexander-Eysak is made of glass. I just panic when he comes off because I'm like, this is just not what we need to see.
We're just scared of losing him, I think. Oh,
I'm
really?
scared of. I think
is.
that's probably what it is. I think I've become attached to him. I've got attachment issues. So he needs to stay protected and fit. Let's talk about West Ham. They are coming off the back of I think it's a 2-0 win against Leicester, and then before that, a 1-0 win at Arsenal. I mean, we've all been there. We've all beat Arsenal. Woohoo!
Yeah, it's easy, man.
Easy.
Easy job.
I'm all for it. Let's just give West Ham. Obviously, they well, I say new manager. They've been there for a month or so now, but got a new manager. They're not having the best of seasons. Obviously, at the bottom of the table. I think we can probably say they're maybe just about safe from relegation, but I'm not too sure. And we're sitting in the top half. Any players you guys are worried about? I think there's probably only one or two for me. Iain?
Yeah.
I think we're facing a West Ham side at home. They're at home, not away, with a much better manager than they had when they came up to St James's Park.
Agreed.
And won 2-0. They're in much better form than they were when they came up and won 2-0.
Yeah.
And I sat and watched that game. We were dreadful that night.
We were really bad.
Some good ideas, but we just gave up for the whole of the second half almost. Once they scored a second goal, and we did gift wrap the first one, but we've been doing that. We gift wrapped Nottingham Forest first goal for them.
True.
So I think it'll be really tough. I think Bowen is in fabulous form. He's going to have to be washed.
It's not dirty.
As
God.
a player, I really like Kudus, but I don't think he's in terrific goal scoring form. I think he's on a bit of a drought.
Yeah.
But Newcastle historically are quite good to turn up and let strikers get back into form against them. I remember Evan Ferguson getting a hat-trick for Brighton. All of this pain that I carry with me. It can't be good for me. So Kudus and Bowen. No Antonio, of course. He's still recovering from his car accident.
Yep.
Paqueta versus Bruno in midfield. Is Paqueta still playing for them? I don't think
he didn't play against Leicester.
He didn't play against Leicester. I think
he wasn't even on the bench. Is it not because of his investigation? He's not suspended or anything, is he yet?
Not
that
yet,
investigation,
no.
It was gambling's going on, isn't it? But he wasn't even on the bench against Leicester, so I don't know what's going on there.
He has been in the press this week, though, hasn't? Oh, press.
Well, that's because of the.
He played against them for Brentford. He definitely played against them against Brentford.
Yeah. I've just checked on the Leicester game, and I know he didn't start, but he also definitely wasn't on the bench either. I'm just having a look.
Maybe he's got an injury. I'm not too sure. Would I be worried about him though if he starts? Not too sure.
Kind of though. Well, sometimes he played well against us last time, unfortunately. Yeah.
London Stadium is a bit of a happy hunting ground for us, I think, though, isn't it?
It is, though.
Yeah. John Joe Selvey scoring in a 3-1 win. I love that Eysak lob from outside the box where both him and the goalkeeper are standing watching it drop in with their hands on the hip.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I loved it.
That was a 5-1
that poor
win.
Keeper, man. Poor keeper.
Never lived that one down.
No.
And I can remember a 2-2. What was it last year? I can't remember what happened last year. I know it was a 2-2 the year before, so we do quite well there.
We score goals.
I think if I'm going to get on predictions, because I think we ought to do that at some stage.
We're going to do that now. Come on.
I do think my 3-1 is, because I'm going for a Newcastle win.
It's right for it.
So let's say that we get the free goal for Wilson whenever he plays at West Ham premium, and we win 3-1.
That's your prediction. It's locked in.
Locked in.
I'm glad to see you haven't changed. Why change a habit of a lifetime, Iain?
Sorry, Iain.
I've been so many times recently. Why would I change it?
Exactly. Also, I think this game's got 3-1 written all over it for us. I'm gonna put it out there. So I think you might be on something there, Iain. Joe, come on, let's lock it in. What are you going for?
Just a side note, like who we're worried about. I wouldn't say worried, but like Surchek's to me is also a one that we should watch. No, it's fine. That's the only one I had to say. Really, Bowen is always a natural one. I'd still love to have Bowen play for us, to be fair, but I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. Nope. Score-wise, I'm going to go 2-0. I don't want them to score. I'll go 3-0.
What, Newcastle have a clean sheet?
Yeah.
Newcastle have a clean sheet?
Dubs is going to be back in
Yeah.
goal, and we're going to be absolutely solid at the back. It is. So, sorted. I don't know what's going on.
We will.
You might see us if you're lucky.
Yeah, we'll be doing a review, won't we? We'll be doing a review, even if it's just
There'll be
Michael
some
talking
review
to
coming out
himself
at some point.
midnight.
Yeah.
Bye.